With Democrats competing to think up some new ways to spend other people's money, like yours, thank goodness there are a few people left in D.C. with some fiscal sanity, like my first guest, an expert on business, economics, and banking. He serves on the House Committee on Financial Services, and he's a former official in the Treasury Department under President Bush 41. Would you please welcome my friend, Arkansas Congressman French Hill. Thank you so much, French, for being here. Let's talk about something that is near and dear to your heart, and you've been really passionate about this. This February marked the 4th anniversary of the murder of 21 martyred Coptic Christians by ISIS in Libya. We don't hear a lot about this, and we should. But you've been trying to keep this on the forefront and make people understand that there is persecution going on around the globe. Why is it important to you? Well,
it's important in that 4 years, no one can forget the orange jumpsuits on the beach in Libya. And I think for a lot of Americans, that was the first time they even heard the term Coptic Christian.
Yeah.
But while that was horrifying, and that was at the hands of ISIS in Egypt, which the word Coptic means Egypt. So it's the original people. Was St. Mark founded the church there in the Nile Delta, and so I want the Coptic Christians to be treated with respect, human dignity, and follow the rule of law in Egypt, like the Muslim Egyptians, like the non-Coptic Egyptians, and that's why I'm working so hard on this issue.
Are things getting better in Egypt? I mean, President al-Sisi seems to have done at least significant gestures towards showing respect for Christians that has not happened before.
Yes, he's been working closely with the Christian church, the evangelical church, and he's done the right things in the Coptic church in terms of he's gone to Mass with the Coptic Pope. He's built a new, beautiful Coptic cathedral next to the largest mosque in the world now at their administrative center. He's said the right things. He wants to improve education. But down through that country in the rural areas, Copts are still treated with great harm and discrimination, and I want to see those crimes punished. So I'd like to see the president do the right thing at the top, but also make sure it carries out through the whole country.
I mentioned to the audience that you were a Treasury official in the Bush administration of President Bush 41. You've been a banker, economist. You've done things all over the financial spectrum. When you see people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez say that we all need a guaranteed income and Medicare for all and free college, as an economist and as a person who spent your life in finance, your reaction to that?
I try not to react to it. I've never seen more nonsense served up than I have in the last couple of months by the Democrats. And she's at the forefront of it. The dignity of work, the dignity of creating your own place, your own entrepreneurship, saving money, investing money, building a better life for yourself and your family. That's the American dream. And we have freed billions in this world from poverty, from hunger, from war, from famine. Why? Because of the benefits of capitalism. Trade across this world. We've lifted people out of despair, all because of the capitalist system put forward by the United States, particularly since World War II.
Yeah, but to hear some of the socialists talk about it, you would think that it's all based on greed and that a few people are just cleaning up and that so many people are absolutely without even so much as a piece of bread. So what's wrong with that assessment?
Well, it's wrong because it's not reality. You look at the lowest unemployment we've had in over 50 years across our whole country are being lifted up through hard work, people being attracted back into the workforce, all by having a capitalist policy of lower taxes, let families keep more of their own money to do with as they see fit, lower the regulatory burden, let business form and be formed more quickly and more flexibly. Our economy is the best in the world right now, better than anywhere in Europe, better than anywhere in Asia, and it's because Americans work hard and we have a system that is a capitalist system, and we need to invest in it, nurture it, and make sure it's there for the next generations to come.
Congressman, I heard some people on the left say that the tax cuts have failed because some people aren't getting as much in their refund. And I'm scratching my head thinking, they're not getting as much in their refund because they got it in their checks. So rather than the government getting an interest-free loan from the taxpayer, which is what normally happens, a refund means the government took too much of your money all year long, they actually got it on the front end. Why don't people understand? I mean, that's so simple, and yet there are people all over America acting like, yeah, my tax refund isn't as big. I don't think that tax cut helped me at all.
Well, we're moving from about 9 out of 10 Arkansans are going to get to take the standard deduction and see that benefit, but we changed the tables last February. So your withholding, if you get a W-2 from an employer, was adjusted last February. So you've had that benefit all year long, and you didn't get to loan the money, as you say, to the federal government and then get it back in January. It's a good thing.
Well, let's change the subject to something else that's been hard for me to even begin to understand. You and Congresswoman Ann Wagner of Missouri, who's a great friend, and I love her to death, both of you have been very passionate. You introduced a bill in the House. It was a companion bill to the one that Senator Sass introduced in the Senate. The Born Alive bill, basically saying that if a child survives an abortion, this doesn't restrict the abortion, but if a child survives it, this child is now outside the womb, no longer connected to the mother. The doctor has to render aid. And it did not pass in the Senate. What is wrong with people in Congress who cannot pass that bill?
Well, first, let me thank you for a lifetime of commitment on your part to life. You are a great voice in our country.
Well, thank you for that. Something I truly, deeply believe in, as you know.
Americans were repulsed by the Virginia statute and New York statute.
Yes.
They just couldn't believe their eyes. Or what they heard from the governors of those two states, the celebrations that a life can be taken that is born as the result of a botched abortion. So Senator Sass, Ann Wagner, Steve Scalise, we've introduced legislation to simply say, if that baby is born alive as a result of a botched abortion, they get the same care and treatment that a baby that was born that was wanted. There's nothing complicated about that. And what we've seen as a result, a national conversation which is expressing outrage that it would be any other way, number one. And number two, the polling results of young people and old people repulsed by this and turning to the pro-life cause has been heartening. And so perhaps this terrible result in New York and Virginia has God's purpose at hand.
Do you think that there are some Democrats, I mean, you talk to these folks every day, and there's got to be some private conversations. What I'm not going to ask you to divulge names or identify somebody, but are there some Democrats who can say to you, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with what our leadership is pushing, because I just believe that there are people of both parties who deep down know that whether even they think early term abortion is okay, they cannot justify this baby born alive and then just killed after it's born.
Well, they have an opportunity to speak up then, because Ann Wagner and Steve Scalise are going to file a discharge petition in early April, which will allow this bill, if we get 218 votes, to come to the floor of the House, and we can compel Speaker Pelosi to bring this bill up for a vote. So we need 20 or so Democrats to be right there with us in that effort. So I certainly hope that we'll have Democratic members cross the aisle and speak up for decency and care for the least among us.
25 years ago, you were working in the Treasury Department for the Bush administration. You go back as a congressman a few years ago. What's the big difference you see in the Washington you left in the early 90s and the one you went back to just a few years ago?
Everybody's older.
Well, boy, that's profound.
No, I would say the parties are a little bit more separate. There are more strong districts in each party. So there's a little less working together among the members of Congress and the Senate, number one. Number two, the executive branch is much more powerful. Article 1, 50% of the words in the Constitution are Article 1, the congressional branch, the legislative branch, and it has been demoted by the power of the administrative state in Washington. The Supreme Court decision on Chevron granting deference to regulatory agencies that they don't really have to listen to what Congress says, that they're assumed to be right and have deference. It's called the Chevron deference case. And so that is a problem. And then we don't get our appropriations bills done. Yeah. And if you don't do appropriations on time, you can't hold people accountable, which is, again, the #1 mission that we have in the House and the Senate.
Will we ever see a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution that would force Congress to live within its means like all 50 states have to do and like families have to do across America?
Well, when President Trump and the leadership worked on their 2017 budget deal that I thought just was a budget buster, we got the funding that we've needed because of Obama's underfunding of the military, but we busted the budget. And so I called Leader McCarthy at the time and I said, you've got to bring the balanced budget amendment onto the floor for a vote.
Yeah.
And we had it and we lost. So the
how big a loss? Was it even close?
It wasn't close.
Why not?
And it missed by 1 vote back in the 1990s as a part of Gingrich's contract with America. We need all of us to contact our Congress and say we want to do this. I came to this reluctantly, Mike. You know me very well.
Yes, I do.
I don't think a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution should be necessary. I think we ought to be able to get our work done in Congress, balance the budget, prioritize the spending, have these debates, and get our work done. But after all these years, I've reluctantly come to the conclusion that's the stick that we need to get our work done.
Well, I hope it happens. Congrrisman, I cannot tell you how proud I am of you and your service to the state of Arkansas and to the country, and for the many issues that you've taken on.
I appreciate you.
It's a joy to watch you. Not every congressman I feel so good about, but you, I do, and I thank you so
appreciate it so much,
very much.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Now, we hope that you can inject some fiscal sanity into a House that's gone wild. And by the way, you can keep up with all the news from my guest at his official website, hill.house.gov. That's hill.house.gov. Also, follow him on Twitter at Rep. French Hill.